how could so much time have gone by and there be so many questions, no judgments, information seeming to be pushed down to where you can't it just doesn't make sense. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. Listen, I was in my travels and I ran across a video, and it's a situation that is old. This actually it happened back in December of 2020. December of 2020. What I'm actually talking about is the murder of 16-year-old KALECIA Williams. It literally, like I said, I was in my travels. I'm actually doing something completely different, and it pops on my screen, and I'm like, what is this? And I click it because it ties to TikTok. She's known as the girl who was murdered on TikTok, or the girl whose murder got caught on TikTok. Well, it really wasn't that. That's just salaciousness for the most part. The thing is that KALECIA was actually filming a TikTok video, and she was disturbed and alarmed, and she ended the video, and that's the last that anybody's seen or heard from her. And that's why, you know, the salaciousness and all of that kind of thing. But it just, that's how it popped up for me. I looked and I'm like, okay. And it made me look, and I got in there and I said, wait a minute. Though I thought it was interesting to see like what this was all about, as I got in there, I got very angry at how is this still going on. This happened December of 2020, and it is now April of 2022. Nothing's really been done. This girl's parents are still in an uproar trying to get justice and trying to get people charged. Let's go into it. December 2020. Okay? December 2020, KALECIA was invited to a party. You know, we're coming right out of the pandemic at that time, slowly, because we weren't really out of it at that time. At December of 2020, we weren't really all the way out. I mean, people were moving around a little bit. We weren't locked up in the houses anymore, but parties, me personally, I wasn't running the parties. But anyway, there was supposed to be this party, okay? They were children that are her age. Children. That's what they are. They're children, 16 years old. And her parents went back and forth, and they got this information, and they were assured by, there's a boy's mother who was the chaperone, that she was going to rent this Airbnb, and this is where this party was going to be, you know, because the kids had been locked away, and it was something for the kids to do. So that kind of struck a nerve with me, because I know that, one, you can't really rent Airbnbs for parties. And I know that for a fact, that a lot of Airbnbs have it in the contract that you can't use their Airbnb for parties. So that was a red flag for me right away, but we'll get into that later. Anyway, so she's going to this Airbnb. They agreed to allow her to go. The mother and father agreed to allow her to go because of the fact that there was a chaperone. There was going to be a chaperone, and the chaperone was going to make sure everybody was safe and everybody was taken care of. And it seemed as though things were really on the up and up. Okay? Again, we'll get into more of that later. All right. So something happens. Because she's picked up, taken to the party and all of this. Something happens. There is no Airbnb. There's rooms that have actually been rented, at a Hyatt Regency. This is in Atlanta, Georgia. There was a Hyatt Regency where there were rooms that were booked by the chaperone, whoever this boy's mother is, and these children were, they're out now. They're out. They're at a Hyatt Regency. Parents, I'm going to speak about KALECIA's parents. I don't know about anybody else's parents, but KALECIA's parents are thinking she's at the Airbnb and she's over at the Hyatt Regency. Like she's grown. She's not grown. Your location is now changed. That is one of the biggest nightmares of a parent. That I think you're one place and you're another place. That is always a recipe for disaster. But this is what actually was going on. Here we go. 12:02 a.m. We see KALECIA, because the video, there was a TikTok video. She's making a TikTok video. She's doing a little dance and all of that. And you see that someone comes in the room and it startles her. She backs up and she clicks the video off. And then you don't hear anything else. That was at 12:02 a.m. The dancing and the filming stopped. Gunshots were heard from her room shortly thereafter. Okay? And then after that, it said that allegedly 2 guys discover her on the floor of her hotel room, and they end up carrying her with the help of another girl down to the lobby. This is where it's all very hazy for me. It's all very hazy for me. But let me just go ahead and then I'll go back and we'll talk about all these little things that really bothered James, aka SpillitBoyTV. I'll tell you what bothered me, because this is from the time the child left her house, everything is just out of order as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, 12:27. First responders actually show up. They actually try to resuscitate her right there at the lobby. She's ended up being taken to the hospital, and she was pronounced dead shortly after that at the hospital. Here's another thing. Her parents weren't contacted for 8 hours. Her parents were contacted at 8:45 a.m. by the morgue. I can't even imagine. So I agree to let my child go to a party. We're running too fast. I'll get to that in a minute. So that's that. 8:45 in the morning, they get contact from the morgue. Now they know that their child has perished. The preliminary investigation actually states basically that there was an argument between KALECIA and a 16-year-old boy in the room that resulted in him shooting her. Okay? At some point, the boy is actually, he's taken in. He admitted to shooting her, and he's charged with felony murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a gun by a minor. Okay? Everything is still pending judgment. That was December of 2020. Like I said, it is April of 2022. And from what I could find, because I started digging at that point, I'm digging through videos, I'm digging through articles to try to find out where is the rest of this, because this is just, that's not where we're at. That's not how we handle things. Things don't, you just get killed and, okay, it's this. The boy's name is still being concealed because he's a minor, because he was 16 years old. At this point, he should be rolling up on 18 at this point. But everything is all concealed. So we still don't have a name for him. And it gets even stranger. Just watch with me here. So then I see footage from the news where the mother, April Smith, which is KALECIA's mom, she is pissed naturally because she's saying, you know, the mother, the chaperone, the hotel room is in her name. So I feel like she should be held accountable as well, because the only person that's been arrested is the boy. There's been no issues with the Hyatt Regency at all. You know, they literally have gave pretty much, they made a statement. It was pretty much mum's the word. We can't really say anything, and everything's leaning on, because they're minors. So everything's kind of leaning on that. That's even why you should be talking more Hyatt Regency. But they're not saying anything, so that kind of let them chill and back up. And they're calling it it's like an isolated incident. You know, I'd be real pissed at you. Just, my daughter died and you talk an isolated incident. That just sounds so empty to me. But anyway, so nothing coming from Hyatt Regency. The family's pushing literally for everybody. Everybody that's involved, they want charged. How things, she feels like things weren't, the mother and the father feel like things weren't handled properly by the hotel and the hotel workers. And they want everybody who did anything that was suspect, they want them snatched up. And then they're saying they wanted the footage. What happened, who went in that room, who came out that room, this whole, you know, that whole thing. I continued moving on and digging, okay? I continue digging. January 26th of 2021, I found an article that states that a woman from South Carolina named Kanika Starkey, she was an eyewitness in the lobby and seen the two boys and the girl coming out of the elevator with KALECIA. And she said she was holding her hand until the first responders got there. And then she was filming. She filmed the EMTs working to resuscitate her. Now, that was kind of weird to me, because in that height, but that's where we are as people, I guess, in that height of things, this whole thing of filming, like, I don't know about the filming, but anyway, says she filmed and she said, you know, that she thought maybe it would actually help with the case or whatever. So listen here. There was a quote. There was a quote that was in that article, and it stuck out to me. It really did, because I had questions as well. The quote is from Ronnie Savoy, which is KALECIA's father. He said, "The young girl said they moved my daughter's body because of the blood. But when we look at the video from the woman in South Carolina, there was no blood. So we want to know the reason why you took her from the floor to the lobby." At that point, my stomach dropped. My stomach dropped. And then I'm going to tell you, I started digging. And it was ridiculous to me that I had to dig the way that I was digging all throughout the internet to try to find out. The big one was none of the stuff that's listed, none of the videos that were done, none of the, you know, I dug and dug. I was trying to find out the wound. Do you notice that I just talked to you? I've been talking to you all for 14 minutes about this. And I never told you where KALECIA was shot. All I ever said is that she was shot. And that's how my research on this was going. I couldn't find at all, where was the wound? Where was the wound? And the statement from the father talking about the no blood, I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. As soon as I heard that someone was moving, they had moved the body, who does that? Who does that? Now, if someone's shot in the streets, there's a chance that somebody may move your body. Like if there's friends that are all together and somebody gets shot and they try to get them to the hospital or something. Or if you're shot in the street, they try to get you out the street, that kind of thing. But you're shot inside of a hotel room and then you say 2 people discovered her. Where was the boy? See, lots of questions. But anyway, this whole thing of blood versus no blood, well, let me tell you what I found out. The actual wound was actually in her groin area, is what I found. And I seen it once or twice in comments. But me being a YouTuber, I know what comments are like. Don't always go by what you see in comments. Go and search some more. Sometimes people write things in comments just to be doing it. They're trolling, they're being nasty, they're being mean, that kind of thing. It just didn't make sense. I said, okay. So I kept going and I kept going, I kept going. And then I did actually find some information. And it said, yes, she was shot in the groin area. Why was it so hard for me to find that information? And those were things that were actually posted in 2021, late 2021. In articles and things that were, it was one article. That wasn't the same one from January of 2021. It was late 2021 that actually stated that she had been shot in the groin area. One article. And it took me forever to find it. Why? Why does it feel like some pieces of this are being pushed down and not shit? Well, maybe because of the being a minor, but I mean, we've told all of this. We're talking, the poor child has perished. So I didn't see where the big issue about saying where she got shot. But she shot in the groin. That's very strange to me and very suspect. Who shoots you in the groin? Like, they say they're having an argument. They're having an argument. And you get shot in the groin. That's kind of vicious. And there's more to know. It's like there's more to know. Like, what is that all about? Where was the chaperone? Where was the chaperone? Where was the boy's mother that set up these rooms and all of that? Heard nothing of that. Where were the other party goers? Because I've heard nothing of a bunch of children running around or anything like that. What kind of party was this? What kind of party was it? There's a lot of information that is missing from this. A lot of information. But the mother and the father are adamant that they want everybody involved charged. The boy who shot her, that they ain't settling for that. They're not settling for that. They want everybody involved to be charged. I get it. I get it. I get it. And then the whole thing of what actually happened. What actually was so bad? What went on so bad that led up to her literally being dead? But let me go right here. This thing about this blood. I ain't buying that. That don't sound right to me. Why did they move her body at all? That doesn't make sense. And then the father said that the young girl said they moved the daughter's body because of the blood. It's 2022. You tell me, us normal folk who are not nurses, who are not EMTs, when you see blood, what do? It's an automatic thing. It's an automatic thing. I ain't trying to be rude, but it's automatic. HIV, ever since HIV has ever been an issue in our world, when you see blood, and especially when there is an abundance of blood, your first reaction is to back up. To back up. If there's so much blood that you're actually moving a person because of the amount of blood, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Because who's doing that? I see nothing that said anything about an abundance of blood throughout the hallways of the Hyatt Regency, or when the woman spoke from South Carolina, Connecticut, when she spoke, whenever she did any statement, I heard nothing of blood. Or she said she's seen them coming out of the hotel, out of the elevator. She described how one boy was holding one leg, another boy was holding another leg, and the girl was holding her body, and they carried her out. The three of them carried her out. Nothing about blood or an overabundance of blood or anything like that. She stated about them saying, what hotel is this we're in? What hotel is this that we're in? And that, when you see them carrying a person who had been shot, if there was a lot of blood, you would have mentioned that as well, I believe. If you went as detailed as what you're reenacting in your mind, what was being said, the blood is part of the scene. You know, blood, it jumps out of a situation. It jumps out. And the father said, and I didn't see the video of the woman in South Carolina, but the father said he didn't see any blood. He didn't see any blood in her video. So he had that, and I have the same question. Where's all this blood? Where's all this blood that prompted you to move her body? That's very strange to me. Very strange to me. But that whole Airbnb situation, going back to the whole, like I said, this is off from the beginning. It's off. It's completely off. It doesn't make any sense. Can't rent Airbnbs for parties. And really, an Airbnb for a party of 16-year-olds, yeah, I can imagine how that booking fell through. So I didn't, I was like, okay. But the whole thing of just going ahead and just deciding to put it into a Hyatt Regency and not contacting those parents and not to... There is negligence on the part of the woman who was the so-called chaperone. She's out of order. You're out of order. The whole thing, you're chaperoning, which means that I am giving you in good faith. I'm giving you my child in good faith. And when I do that, it's not on you to really take my child and take them and put them in a different spot than what we agreed upon them being in. We got an issue. We got a real live issue. And you said you'd be chaperoning. Where were you? And so, yeah, I got a real problem with you because ain't no way my child been dead for 8 hours and somebody else call and tell me my child is dead and it didn't even come from you. Yeah, I got issues with you. I got real issues with you. So all of that, none of that makes sense. But I'm going to tell you, it really goes back to parenting too. My child wouldn't have went. But that's me. Everybody's not me, so I'm not faulting her parents. But one thing that I know, I say when children are young, your state says you have to have a babysitter. Your state says you have to have a babysitter. Okay? And it goes all the way up to a certain age. And it is about 14, 15, somewhere in there, maybe 13, that you have to have a babysitter. You can't leave them at home by themselves and all of that kind of thing. It might be like 13, depending on where you live. But what I found just living this life, You are forced to have a babysitter for your babies when they are babies and toddlers and when they start to become young people. It seems to me you really need the babysitter more when they are at the ages like this, 16 and 15. And that's when you really need the babysitter. When the state no longer is making you have a babysitter, that's when you really need a babysitter, because that's when things get really, really rough. When they're able to do things themselves and make decisions, that's when things get really, really rough. That's when you really need somebody to be taking and keeping an eye on your child. And I think these people actually thought they were doing that, but they don't seem like they were close enough for me to, and especially not a boy's mother. I would never turn my daughter over to some boy's mother. Like that's, no, no. And I ain't saying I wouldn't let my teenager you can go to a party, but ain't nobody staying out. But you staying overnight. Sleepovers is for little kids, not 16-year-olds. What do you need to sleep over for? You sleep at home. So that just didn't sit well with me. But all in all, too many dropped pieces for me in this situation. And I am so thrown off at the point that nothing has actually been done. And this boy has not been charged. And they're still locking down what his name is and more details. He's got to be rolling up on 18 at this point. So, I don't know. This is, I feel really bad. I'm really bothered by this. And no, KALECIA can't rest in peace until this is done. Till this is done. There's no justice been done for her at this point. There are too many unanswered questions. She's owed that. There's no justice for this family. Not yet. Not yet. It's still too undone as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, listen. I can't. It's something I ran across in my travels. Really, really bothered me. I am really interested to see what you guys have to say. Please, by all means, leave it in the comments. Let me know what you're talking about. We'll continue the discussion in the comments. Let's talk. All right, you guys. Later.